this video, we're going to go over how to make roasted chicken stock, which is very similar to our roasted veal stock video, so this one will be a little bit shorter and faster. And we're going to start, just like in the veal stock video, with rubbing the bones down with canola oil to help transfer the heat during the roasting process. Now here I have some wings and some bodies or cavities left over from a case of chickens that we just butchered down for service. You're going to place those in a 500-degree oven for about an hour to an hour and a half, or until they're a nice dark golden brown. And in the meantime, you want to start preparing your mirepoix, which is onions, celery, and carrots at the ratio of 2 parts onions, 1 part celery, 1 part carrots. Now I'm going to rough chop the onions, keeping the skin on, and I do this as a personal taste. I think it gives a little more of a rustic flavor. Same thing with the carrots. I'm going to chop the carrots. I'm just doing a rough cut, about an inch in length, and same thing with the celery all the way down. Place your mirepoix in a large mixing bowl and set aside, and then go back about a half hour later and check your bones. Here we're going to flip them around a little bit, make sure that they're roasting evenly. And then here I have some fat and some drippings I'm actually going to pour over my mirepoix. This is directly from the roasting pan itself. And I'm going to toss this around in the mixing bowl, and this is going to coat the mirepoix with the chicken fat and some of the chicken juices. And then I'm going to roast it in the oven at about 450 to 500 degrees, allowing some of those juices to evaporate and concentrate down, and the fat itself will help to caramelize the mirepoix. Take your roasted bones, place them in the bottom of a heavy bottom stock pot, and then you're going to go back and deglaze your roasting pan with a little bit of red wine, and you're going to put this over a flame or some sort of heating element and scrape off all those little nummies with a wooden spatula like I'm doing here. And this is going to add more flavor and color to your stock, and you want to make sure you don't leave those behind. Now pull your roasted mirepoix from the oven with all those condensed juices, and you're going to add those right on top of your roasted chicken bones. Next, you're going to cover with cold water, and like we talked about in the veal episode and also in SCS episode 2, you always want to start a protein stock with cold water for clarity, not for flavor. And for more information, check out stellarculinary.com/SCS2. Place your stock pot over a high flame, and here, because my stock pot is so large, I'm using 2 burners at the same time. Now I'm going to add in 1 bunch of parsley, 1 bunch of thyme. These are just my standard aromatics and herbs that I use. Here are some peppercorns, about 15, and about 5 bay leaves. And I'm going to bring this to a simmer, and I'm going to let it get going. I'm going to turn it down on low heat, and I'm going to do an initial skim by just dipping the edge of my ladle underneath the fat and skim it off. After the initial skimming process, you want to reduce the flame down and keep your stock at a low percolating simmer for about 4 to 6 hours. After that simmering time, it's going to look like this. It's going to be a nice dark roasted stock. And now it's time to strain. But before I strain the stock, I like to always add a little bit of cold water right on top, and it's going to cool the stock down, bring some of the excess fat to the surface, and allow me to give it one final skim before I take it over and strain it into a container. So the first step is to strain through a china cap or a large colander, and a china cap is just a large conical strainer. And I'm going to use a large pot just to kind of pull it out of the stock pot and do my initial strain using a wooden rolling pin or whatever you have to sort of bash through the ingredients to make sure you're getting a full flavor extraction. Next, you want to strain your stock a second time through a chinois, and that's this fine mesh conical strainer that I'm using here. You can also use any fine mesh screen to strain your stock. And this is going to get out any particulate matter that's left behind during the initial strain. I'm going to lift this out. I'm going to give it a little shake and a little tap, never pushing it through, and that's all the stuff that I'm catching. Next, you want to finish by icing down your stock and making sure that you cool it rapidly to below 40 degrees Fahrenheit within 3 to 4 hours. Now, unlike with veal stock, we will not be making a remuage because most of the flavor is extracted during that first 4 to 6 hour simmering period when you're making your chicken stock. For more detailed information, to take a quiz, to listen to our audio lectures, and for the recipes, check out stellarculinary.com/stock.